Since everything in Designer is based on nodes, let's answer that simple question first. What is a node? Nodes are the building blocks of a graph. You can think of them as operators that transform in a specific way any information you give them. So if we zoom on a node, we can see these little dots on each side. On the left is the input, that is the image you feed the node, and on the right is the output, that is the result of the node's operation. So for example, here we're plugging a disk in a swirl node. The disk is the input, and the twisted result that I'm previewing here is the output. I can then take that output and run it through another node, and so on and so forth. Okay, so how exactly do you build a material with nodes? What's the typical workflow, and where do you even start? To find out, let's examine this graph that we have right here and break it down into its different components. Now, a graph reads from left to right, which means that this is the very beginning of the work, whereas this is the final result. And we can already grasp how it's organized thanks to the frames. And you see that the main ones are dedicated to specific channels of the material. We have everything related to the base color here, the roughness is here, and that big gray box is for the height map. Notice how it sits at the very beginning of the graph? The main takeaway here is that when you build a material in Substance Designer, you almost always start with the height. So if I grab this big block, it highlights everything that is connected to it. And as you can see, the height information really flows into all the different sections of the graph. It's not only converted into normal and ambient occlusion maps, but it's also used to create custom masks and drive the roughness, the color, basically any other map that's needed. Now, as you may know, height maps are grayscale images. It means that most of the work that we'll be doing in Designer will be in grayscale. You can already see it simply by looking at the colors of the connections. Gray connections mean grayscale nodes. Yellow connections mean color nodes. We will go over this later in this course, don't worry. So let's focus on the height we have here. We can easily display the result of any node simply by double-clicking it. And as you can see, the graph really starts with this basic brick structure. And as we move downstream, this simple structure is slowly broken down into something more complex and organic. See, we're adding gradients, warping the edges, blending in large noises, etc. And if we move further to the right, we start to see all the minute details appearing, such as this thin layer of dirt, these small bends, and so on. This demonstrates the importance of being methodical and organized when you tackle your height. Typically here, we started with the large shapes or macro structure and gradually moved towards medium, then small details. This workflow is well known and is usually a safe guide to follow when you build your material. You can still go for other methods. For example, when your material is composed of one element that is repeated multiple times, then working on the base unit first makes more sense. This is typically the case when you create fabrics. You start by working on the yarn, shaping it in the right position, then tiling it into one large woven piece. Once your height is finished, you can derive from it all the information you need for the rest of your maps. So for example, if we want the end of our tile here to be more mossy than the rest, all we have to do is to grab one of the masks from our height section and use it in our color section. Same goes for the roughness and everything else. So let's recap what we just saw. To create a material in Designer, you typically start with the height map, building up grayscale information in a methodical manner. This information can then be used to drive and refine the other maps that make up the material. If you want to test your understanding of this workflow, a good exercise would be to simply look at some materials and ask yourself, how are they built? What's the main structure? What comes first and what comes last? Give it a try, and I'll see you in the next video.